Hey, it's Drybear. The new week in the First Descendant has started, so we have a brand new list of reactors to farm, so let's jump into it. Apologies for the flashbang, but last week I did a full map with the graphics. I think for this since we're going to be doing it regularly, I'll just use my actual spreadsheet instead of just creating the graphics. I think it's going to be faster and a little bit more tenable for me. But these are the reactors that I've identified as being good, best in slot, really easy pickups that you'll want to consider getting for the week for a lot of the really popular builds that are out there right now. Now, we'll walk through these individually, but the ones that I want to point out here is that if you don't already have a singular focused AoE farming build bunny, you want to pick that up in the Grand Square in Kingston this week. There are also several Blair, Esiemo, and Freyna reactors that you can pick up this week as well. And there's also two very good Viessa reactors that you'll want to grab on top of that. And lastly, the other highlight is going to be there is finally a Python Gley reactor that you can pick up in the hatchery. Unfortunately, it's in White Knight Gulch hatchery, but if you don't have a Python Gley non-attribute, you can pick that up there. Also, a non-attribute dimension general rounds works great on Jayber, Enzo, or Valby if you're trying to do a dimension Valby with like a Thunder Cage or an Enduring Legacy. Firstly is the General Rounds Singular Reactor for Bunny. This is going to be available in Kingston Grand Square for the next week, available there. So this one, very commonly, Bunny is, her farming build is based on Singular as her third ability, and so you'll be able to get a very easy farming build here, and most commonly when you're getting this reactor, people will pick up Thunder Cage as the mount as well. When you go to Grand Square, there's going to be a couple options that you can run here, but for me, the one that I would like to run the most for this is going to be Kingston Surveillance Radar. This is very easy to complete, very fast, has a decent mob density on it as well, and you can run it over and over and over just to get the drops you're looking for on that Bunny reactor. And again, you're looking for a Thunder Cage mount on that one. Next up is White Knight Gulch, and there's 3 reactors in here that are worthwhile for the Descendant and builds that we have in the game right now. The first one of which is going to be Moongrave Basin. This is a Fire General Rounds Dimension reactor. Blair just got a big buff in the Season 1 patch, and Dimension is his claim to fame. So you want a General Rounds Dimension for Blair. For this one, I love getting Enduring Legacy as a mount for Blair. It works perfectly with his kit. It gives him a nice round set of single target, as well as the AoE that he has in his kit as overall. For Moongrave Basin, you can run anything in the field here, but I recommend running Water Cooling Recording Device. This one is very easy to clean. You'll just run to the B site of this and let mobs stand on the area in order to prevent it from ending. It's a very easy cleanup and farm. Now you can actually run this one in public because there should be a lot of Blairs this week coming here and doing this mission over and over. You can see there is probably a Blair over there right now just completing this mission. It's a bunny looking for a reactor. So you can start this one, and there's 2 sites that you can activate if you play in private. The one to the left here, the B site, you can just activate and complete and reset. It fills this whole area with mobs, and it's very easy to farm for reactors. Next, we have the shipment-based reactor this week. It is Fire General Rounds Fusion. And again, I want to include all builds, all characters, all Descendants in this, and I will be including that going forward in all of my lists for these reactors. This is a very, non-popular character and a non-popular build for that non-popular character. This is going to be an Esiemo Fusion build reactor. This one is great for an Esiemo Fusion build. There's a couple things you want to know about this, just like the Dimension Fire Reactor for Blair. In this case, you want probably Enduring Legacy for Esiemo, but what's cool about Esiemo, one thing that people don't really know about him, since not a lot of people play Esiemo, is that not only is his ultimate a fusion ability, so you can actually have this ability activated and use it for fusion damage, but we tested this the other day. Since his detonation on his mines is fusion, if you apply fusion ability scaling to Esiemo, all of the mines you detonate using your second ability will gain that fusion damage. If they time out passively, it's not going to work, but you can actually run a fusion build with Esiemo using the ultimate and detonated mines for big burst damage. Now, for shipment base, there's a couple choices to go with here. You can run Fortress Courtyard for Brains as an option, but if you're specifically just trying to get reactors, my recommendation is going to be Fortress Outskirts. This one is also a popular mission this week, so you'll probably see a lot of people farming this, and some people do like farming it for brains and other materials, but the way this works is you have 4 stand-in-place areas that you can activate, and generally you'll just go activate all these. You can see just loading this for this video, it's a full lobby of people doing it. You activate all 4 of them, and you just run around and AoE any mobs that are here, and you get tons of reactors that are dropping. So if you're looking for a Esiemo best in slot fusion build reactor, you'll be able to find it this week, and I would recommend just go go ahead and run the Outskirts mission for this one. Then, unfortunately, one of the best reactors this week, the non-attribute General Rounds Dimension Reactor, which is going to be best in slot for like a Python Gley, a Shredding Gley, or even like a Valby, Enzo, or even a Jayber build if you're trying to build that out. It is unfortunately in one of the worst zones in the entire game, the Hatchery. So if you're looking for a Python Gley, you can go ahead and pick this one up, or if you're looking for like a farming Valby with dimension scaling, you can certainly run that as well. Inside of Hatchery, honestly, all of these missions suck. All of the open areas suck. You can do the Outpost. It's going to be not great for reactor farming, but at least you'll be farming reactors while you're getting amorphous materials and shape stabilizers. But most efficient is probably going to be Upper Hatchery, though again, all the missions in Hatchery suck. This whole zone is just a huge bummer. What you can do with Upper Hatchery is you can clear it about halfway through and reset. You can do the same thing for Lower Hatchery, but a lot of these are going to be slow spawn rate and very spread out. Next up in Hagios, there's going to be another Freyna reactor here. This is Tech Toxic. Tech is the primary damage dealing for Freyna, unless you're doing like a tank Freyna build, but Tech is going to be your primary source of damage. And General Rounds is great because you can run with Fallen Hope if you want to, which hopefully gets buffed with the Ultimate Freyna patch in a month on October 10th. But it'd be a good Fallen Hope build, best in slot for Freyna with Toxic there. Inside of Corrupted Zone, you have two main options here. The first one that I'm going to recommend is Deep Digger. This one will give you a good drop of materials as well. So like you actually will get particles from this dropping on top of it, and it's a pretty easy clear with lots of reactors dropping. But also there is another Valby 500 circular outpost you could do here. So if you have a well-built Valby or a Freyna or a Viessa with the frost or poison trails, you can run this outpost over and over, and you can even complete it at the end to get your amorphous and your shape stabilizers. But either the outpost or the Deep Digger mission are going to be the best choices here if you're trying to farm that Fallen Hope Freyna reactor. The other option for the Freyna reactor is going to be in the mountaintops in White Knight Gold. Just going to be a Tech Toxic. It's a little bit more meta right now because it's going to be impact rounds. You could run Nazastra's Devotion on this. You can run Wave of Light, Blue Beetle. There's a lot of really good impact round weapons right now. You can also run impact round Sharp Precision Shot if you're doing like a main unique weapon build for Freyna, which is her strongest build at the current moment. So this one's a little bit more meta. You can run this for mountaintops here. And what's great about mountaintops as an option is that in the mountaintops, we have the Borderline of Truth, which is an excellent farming mission. People farm this even when there's no reactors to be had. It has a good drop of extra materials. It's very easy to clear. You're getting a bunch of reactors here. So if you're looking for a best in slot meta reactor for Freyna with Tech, Toxic, and Impact rounds, you want to come here to the Borderline of Truth in White Knight Gulch, the mountaintops. Next up is another Esiemo reactor. It is a fire-based fusion reactor in Starfall Road in Hagios. This one is going to be Impact rounds. It's probably slightly worse than the general rounds for Enduring Legacy because I think that fits with the Esiemo fusion build a lot better. But if you want an alternate option here for Impact rounds, it's definitely available for you. And the cool thing about Hagios Starfall Road is all three of these missions are about the same drop rate. So if you're looking for one of these mods like Absolute Curse or something, you can run these to completion. My recommendation for this one specifically is to run Ancient Quantum Facility and then reset it halfway through. So this one is right by the zone in point. You'll hit this mission and then it'll take you right up the hill. And there's a little platform here with a lot of clearing. And you basically want to go up here, do this platform. This is going to be the first half of the mission. This platform spawns a bunch of enemies, a bunch of mobs all over the place. Once you're done with this platform area, clearing all the minions, and it forces you to go into the cave, you can just reset and start the mission over. Because once you go into the cave, there's a second part of the mission that's quite slow. So if you're looking for just reactors, come up here, clear this area, clear off all the mobs, look for the reactors, and when you're done, just reset and go again. We also have another Blair reactor here in Hagios, Fractured Monolith. This is a fire dimension. Dimension fire is always going to be a Blair, but if you wanted to use a more meta weapon with Secret Guarded on this one, it's a very easy pickup. Unfortunately, Fractured Monolith is just one of those zones where a lot of the missions are not super great. If you want to, you can run this for Anode Particle Drops, one of the hardest materials in the game to get, and you can get that from Large Supply Transport Point, or if you're willing to collect orbs, you can do the Cliff. But if you want to just farm reactors in general, I'm going to recommend Ruins Modification Base. It's a little bit more dense than this one, and even after the changes for Large Supply Transport Point, it can be a little slow. So if you're looking for the Secret Garden mounted Blair reactor this week, you'll want to go to Fractured Monolith and farm Ruins Modification Base. There's also an excellent reactor for Blizzard-focused Viessas that are focused on tech overall. If you go to Fortress Fallen Ark this week, there's a chill tech impact round reactor. There's two major missions in Fallen Ark. Park, Ship Charging Facility, and Frozen Shipyard. Personally, I prefer Frozen Shipyard for the farming of this, but you can also run Ship Charging. They're not too far apart in farming density. And for a Viessa tech-based Blizzard build, or a build that focused entirely on tech, I recommend getting like a Blue Beetle just for the extra skill crit, but you can also run Wave of Light if you want a mixture of firearm attack and ability, though generally if you're running a tech Viessa, you're probably not going to be shooting too much, so just having the extra skill crit from Blue Beetle is going to be super nice. And of course, you could always run Nazash's Devotion, which is still one of the best weapons in the game. The other Viessa reactor that's available this week is going to be in Vespers, the Lumberyard, and this one I think is actually going to be a bit superior, but again, I want to include all builds in the game. So if you're running a tech-based or Blizzard-based Viessa build, you'll go over there and pick that one up. But for Vespers is going to be the singular option, so like an absolute zero build. You'll want to chill singular with this, and because it's special rounds, it means you can run a Clairvoyance mount on this, which gives you the extra frost resistance down. And hopefully, with the October 10th patch, when we get the new scout rifle that increases chill power and lowers chill resistance, we'll have even better Viessa builds that you can run with this one. But you'll go to Vespers, the Lumberyard, to farm this. And of all the missions here, I personally like Frontline Base. It is incredibly fast to run. You can reset it very easily if you want to, or you can just complete it. Very easy to get, and you'll get a bunch of reactors this way. And the last reactor worth paying attention to, this is not going to be like top 5 meta build, but there is an option if you want to do a gun platform Hailey or a farming mobbing Hailey focused on her one ability. That's going to be here in Timberfall. Chill Dimension. Dimension is going to be her shoulder mounted turret. It scales pretty well, and it has a good mobbing build. You can also use it for, again, a gun platform build where you're just focused on the passive scaling plus the 3 being active. You can grab a nice reactor for Hailey here. It's not a singular reactor for her big, sniper build, big shot build, but it is an alternate option for Hailey. This is the Hailstorm Hailey build that I put out last week, so you'll be able to come here for Timberfall to farm this reactor. And honestly, a lot of these are going to be pretty similar. You could run Ancient Giant Tree if you just want to like a lot of stand in place. There are some good drops of brains from Timberfall Power Facility, but the mission that I recommend for this area specifically is going to be the Organic Recording Terminal. This one's going to be a lot of stand in place. It's a very fast mission. You'll have a lot of density, though granted a lot of these are kind of similar, but this one is probably the best for reactor dropping specifically out of the whole zone. And if you want more of a balanced farm, you could run the Timberfall Power Facility, which will give you purple rare materials that you'll need for crafting on top of getting you the reactor at the same time. And that's it for the reactors of the week. This is available for the next 6 days until September 16th. This will reset and we'll get some new reactors for next week. There are a bunch of other reactors listed here. There could be an absolute zero in Sterile Land Ironworks, though it's going to be a general rounds. For absolute zero, I much prefer going for a Clairvoyant special round. There is going to be a fusion non-attribute in Echo Swamp Derelict Covert. You could run this for a unique weapon Valby, but it's not super useful. And again, general rounds is not going to be the best there. And there is also a tech reactor for Viessa in Rockfall Sterile Land, but again, it's high power. So some of these are very suboptimal as far as options for those characters. So these are the reactors I recommend keeping your eye on if you plan to be using any of these characters with these builds. And you can take a screenshot of this list here that you can kind of use as part of your, farming for the week. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.